I wanted to tell you a story. And Americans love a comeback story. And so in the region I work on, there is no greater comeback story than the story of Sri Lanka. If you will go back with me in time a year and a half, you will remember a country in crisis. You'll remember mass riots in the streets. You'll remember lines for petrol and for food snaking around the corners. You'll remember the seizing of the president's home, protesters swimming in his swimming pool, protesters cooking food in his kitchen. If you've been to Sri Lanka lately, it's a very different place. Currency is stable, food and fuel prices are stable, they've gotten reassurances on their debt restructuring, and the IMF money is flowing. How did they do that? The answer I would offer is they did it with a little help from friends. And this Indo-Pacific strategy is based on the premise that the United States and like-minded partners are going to try to offer a better proposition. Let me explain that in the context of Sri Lanka. In the beginning, Sri Lanka really needed humanitarian assistance. What we saw was countries like India coming forth with concessional loans that allowed Sri Lanka to continue to bring in vital supplies of food and fuel during the most difficult times. Our USAID during those same days provided hundreds of millions of dollars in agricultural inputs, fertilizers and seeds, so farmers could grow their own crops. On the debt side, if you follow Sri Lanka at all, you know they have a really heavy debt burden. The creditor committee, led by Japan, France, and India, negotiated for months to find a formula to allow Sri Lanka to restructure its debt in a sustainable way. And that formula put pressure on the Chinese to go along with those debt reassurances. That opened up IMF funding and the changes that you see in the economy today. And Vikram mentioned this $553 million loan from the U.S. Development Finance Corporation just announced in November. That was a loan not to a government, it was a loan to the Colombo Port West Container Terminal. That's a private sector project that's going to make money for the Sri Lankan people. It's not a loan that balloons out bilateral debt. It's an actual profitable project that's really based on private sector investment that we are supporting as well. Lastly, I would say part of what Sri Lanka really needs is all of us to be there to help support its sovereignty. One of the ways that we are doing that from the U.S. government is by providing patrol boats to the Sri Lankan military. And we are also this year set to deliver a King Air aircraft that will help Sri Lanka to patrol its coastal waters.